As part of our Small Town, Big
Sound
series, we are talking with a true disruptor in the real estate industry. The one.
The only.
Don Johnson.
Well, not that Don
Not
Johnson.
that Don Johnson. Don owns Crystal Coast Realty Group.
Yep.
He had a crazy backstory.
Crazy backstory.
Where he got his start embalming bodies in a morgue or something.
Paul Bear.
So we definitely dig into that. But then he was selling government contracts all over the country. His heart was always in real estate.
Yeah, settled here in North Carolina.
So when he came back, he's like, I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to actually build a firm that benefits the agents more so than the actual real estate firms. And that's exactly what he did. So a lot of golden nuggets in this one.
He captures the essence of Small Town, Big Sound because he's making waves.
Putting his dent in the universe. We challenge him a little bit on some stuff.
Yeah,
but
we pushed the envelope with this one.
He passed the test. So
check it out.
Boom.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Billy Collins.
I'm Matt Doje.
And this is Magician.
Jock.
Guys, today we have a special guest. We have the Don.
It's the Don.
The Don.
Don Corleone.
The Don
real
Corleone.
estate, baby.
Or Don Johnson.
Dude, we haven't had a real estate guy in for a while, so I'm pumped up, man.
Yeah. What, the past
we had him for a while there.
we were pumping out some real estate agents.
Yeah, and real estate, I mean, it's a entrepreneurial, just a lot of very entrepreneurial minded people in it.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know what I found creative as well.
Yeah, you gotta be. But yeah, very like, they call everything, I like this space. So, but no, Don, welcome, man.
Thank you. Good to be
Speaking
here.
of creativity.
Glad to be here. Wish I'd have worn the white suit, actually.
Yeah, you should have,
Yeah.
but it's okay.
I have one.
We'll forgive you this time.
You've heard that once or twice before.
Yeah.
Don Johnson.
Yeah, I actually have a suit. Yeah.
Oh, I'm pretty sure there will be probably a clip in this of
Yeah.
some sort of.
That guy's aged horribly.
Actually, have you seen Don Johnson?
Yeah.
He's not.
Yeah.
He's not gracefully aging.
The wall comes for them all.
He's got to be
Yeah.
up there, though.
But yeah, welcome, man. I know you and Billy have known each other for a while. This is the first time we've met, so I'm excited to pick your brain.
All right, pick away.
Yeah, man. So
Leave me some.
Tell us a little bit about Don before we get into the business aspect.
Everything's got to be fun for me, or I wouldn't do it, no matter what it is. If it's work, family, no matter what. We moved here about 12 years ago and fell in love with the area.
where'd you move from?
Actually, we moved up here from West Palm Beach, but I was with a company that was selling government contracts. I had
Got
taken
it.
a break from real estate, and they were moving me like every 18 months. Great, but hard on the family.
Sure.
I mean, yeah. And then when it come time to move again, they were going to move us back to Orlando. And we just saw in the Crystal Coast a little bit of the best of every place we've ever lived. I mean, it's just an amazing place, and I still feel that way today. And I wasn't crazy about going to North Carolina. I'll tell you in the beginning, it's in North Carolina. What's there? But you know, when we
Damn
got here, it was like-
hillbillies and plaid shirts.
it was amazing. I'm originally though from just south of Pittsburgh. So,
Okay.
I used to be a Yankee, but I figure all the mosquitoes got my blood here at least once, and.
You're still a Yankee, man.
Oh, okay.
A damn Yankee. your cadence of voice is way faster than down here. Had you done real estate prior to doing that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did real estate in Pennsylvania. It was basically just, hey, I'm going to get back into real estate, and we're staying here because we just love it here.
It's kind of an ace in the hole. Like,
Yeah.
all times I can just go start selling real estate.
Yep. Of course, I had to kind of start from the beginning because, you know, I had to go to school and get my license here and everything, and all the usual things that a lot of new agents see where, you know, you don't know anybody here, so how do you get started?
But you've done it before. You've already proven yourself to make money. I mean, if you're fresh out of college or just trying out real estate, I mean, we can probably name 10 people that have their real estate licenses
Yeah.
that probably never sell a house, or they get it and then they're like, oh, wait, we have to talk to strangers.
Well, I think it's those TV shows. They see how these guys, you know, there's $1 million listings and things like that on
it's
TV.
so easy. They
They're
always
gonna
say
live
yes.
like that. Yeah.
They just show up and it happens.
But I actually started out life as a funeral director. I went to mortuary school, and I did that for almost 8 years in Memphis.
So when you answer the phone, did you say, "Hey, this is Don Johnson. You stab him, we slap him"?
We'll send out the meat wagon.
Not creative, yeah. It was hard to always be a jokester in that business, I can tell you that.
I bet.
How did you make that fun?
I worked alone mostly. I started out in the city as a night embalmer, and that's what I did. I worked all night just embalming bodies.
Well, now that everyone is completely
Everybody
freaked out.
Freaked out now.
Nobody had any problem with any of my jokes.
Yeah,
Nothing
that's
was
right.
a problem. I had a little room where I literally had a little
Just play
room.
the silent game all the time.
I could sleep in this. I had a little bedroom there, and I could see through the window, and I could just, see all the little toes sticking up, and knew
Now,
everything was
honestly,
okay.
you have to be honest with me right now.
Yeah.
When they're all on the slab, did you stand them up on the wall, like prop them up so you had a standing room, standing ovation?
No,
like
but
put
I
their
did.
hands?
I
my
did set I did set a couple up for morning when the morning crew come in and we were playing cards together one time.
That now, were these people here voluntarily, or are you a serial killer?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Oh, I thought we were gonna have our first exclusive.
man.
We
I didn't
caught
have to
him.
go out and look for my own business. No.
But anyways, our ADHD is running wild. So
That was
anyways,
that,
you're
yeah.
back here.
Yeah,
You got all your real estate stuff.
Yep.
Love the area. I noticed that on I always talk about on LinkedIn, but real estate agents are always posting the most, heartwarming quotes about the area. You
Yep.
know, they truly do. Now, I don't know if they're putting on to,
Well, nobody's going to
Or
want
if
to buy
that's
a
the
house if you
personality
hate
it
the
takes.
area. That's for sure.
yeah, this place sucks. The house is worse. Let's set a listing. Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't work out too well. But yeah, I mean, I really do. I still love the area. It's a great area. It's got Southern hospitality. It's got small town charm. One of the things I really liked about the area when I first got here was the ocean's for everybody. I come from
Yeah.
West Palm Beach. You don't live near the ocean unless you're a gazillionaire or something.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool that the ocean here is for everybody.
That is true. I mean, I'm born and raised here. Billy's lived here a long time.
Well, I've
and-
never left the coast. I was born on the coast and
Yeah, I
stayed
mean,
on the
I don't
coast.
have much perspective, like comparing it to living in other big beach cities, but I love it.
You won't see in most beach towns, and I've lived in a lot of them, you won't see where there's a $9 million home here and then maybe a trailer park next to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
welcome to the Crystal Coast.
That's not always a good blend.
Hashtag privacy fence.
It is an area that's been for everybody, so that's
Yeah.
always nice to see.
Nice.
I know it's changing a little bit. I see, trailer parks getting wiped out in favor of condos, and
Yeah. It's about time, right, Billy?
It's the belly of the beast.
yeah, it's going to happen.
So, second time through, because you went through all the testing, and I can empathize because I'm in the financial industry. It's similar, getting licensed, continuing ed, all that stuff. Did you think when you first let those licenses lapse that you would come back at some point?
No,
or-
it's a matter of a different state, and they didn't reciprocate.
Oh, so you still had your...
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I got you. Reestablishing yourself, did you just remember, hey, this is what made me successful last time, or?
As far as methods, but as far as the education-wise, North Carolina's still quite old-fashioned, and they can measure by meets and bounds. The old rock to the left, and then 500 feet to the tree. And, that's still a legal measurement here. There's some different things here.
Wait, there's something wrong with that?
There's something different. What do you guys use up north? Tape measures?
Yeah.
Numbers?
Numbers. Yeah.
Just like it sells, right? It's a volume. I'm guessing it's a volume game, right?
Right.
Numbers game.
Right.
You did something interesting, and Billy just gave birth into.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Billy kind of shared your backstory. You saw the industry, and like entrepreneurs, like, hey, I love this industry, but let's figure out how we can make it better. And a lot of times you got to be in it for a while to see what sucks, what
Right.
doesn't. But maybe kind of walk people through your journey, what I would call the old way to the new way.
Yeah.
Or your new way.
Well, I mean, the old way, everybody was very dependent on the firms that they worked for. All the agents were very dependent. You had to go in and get your phone messages. You had to be there in case people showed up to either buy or sell a home. They actually went physically to the firm office to do that sort of thing. Now they start online. They'll find you online as an agent to represent them. We all have cell phones. We all have the same technology at our fingertips now, so it's not...
Every industry's changed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What I saw is in the firms still charging 30 to 50% of the agent's commission, of their earned commission to be part of that firm. And they didn't adjust to the times. Their role became less, but the money was still there.
Yeah.
And I don't know that most people out there understand that you're selling a house and you see the commission number on the form, you think, wow, that agent's making a lot of money. That money's getting split up.
Yeah.
You know, there is a split to it, and I don't know if most people understand that.
I think maybe at some level they
So,
do.
yeah, I would think
but
so, yeah.
Still, like
I have an
homeowner-
agent right now who's 20 some years experience, and he was with a firm that was charging him 50%.
What you came up with, or what you modeled your business after, is the whole, if it's not broke, break it, make it better.
Make it better. Yep, absolutely. I'd like to say that I, totally come up with the idea all by myself, but I saw this company called Fathom Realty online. They're a national company, and they were doing the 100% commission and then charging a $450 fee. I think once you get to a certain level, though, even if I branched out and got 30 different offices doing that, then you're having to add on so many things that you might not be able to get away with that. You know, if you're a one location local business, that'll work for you, but
it's hard to, you don't see a franchise model.
yeah, I
like-
don't see a franchise model working like this unless they charge more. And in turn, they had to start charging an annual fee and things like that. So I said, I really like the way this is, but without all that extra stuff. So I decided to go independent and start a local company and just charge that $450 fee to the agents.
And to give people perspective, what he means, there's a set commission on when someone buys or sells a house, right? What is it generally,
Right.
2%?
Well, I think it's 6% usually, and then
then
split
split,
by
yeah.
Right.
half, and then that
So
is
if
split.
it's so
There's
if
no
it's-
norm. We're not allowed to ever say that there's a
Well,
norm.
let's just say the average is 6%, right? If it's a $100,000 house, now that's usually split between two agents, right?
Right.
So that would be $3,000 a pop, and in the old model, I would owe you roughly $1,500 or $1,200, something
Exactly,
like that.
yeah.
Right.
And whereas you're saying, hey, no, it's a flat 450. I think before the show we said it's almost like the Netflix model. So we look at that and we're like, well, that makes, if it's like I can buy this car for this much and this car for this much, and they're the same. What do you think's holding people back from? Is it just they're not aware that this exists, or they're fat and happy where they're at and like don't rock the boat?
I think a little bit of all of it. I think the longer we stay in business, of course, the more people realize, it must work.
Yeah.
We've got some people now that have been in the business 25 years or more in this area, so they're looking at that saying, well, so and so's there and has been doing this a long time. It obviously works. So those are things that are going to play in our favor as we add more agents. But like I told you earlier, we want to make sure we get the right agent too. We want somebody that's absolutely customer service oriented. That's the most important thing to them. I make the agents the most important thing to me, make sure they have everything they need, and I want the agents to make sure the customer is number one.
What does that?
priority.
What does that mean? What is that?
Well, I mean,
Like maybe give us a bad one and
the
a good
biggest
one.
complaint, according to the National Association of Realtors, is once an agent gets a listing, you don't hear from that agent on a regular basis. Even if nothing's going on, shoot them a text.
It's almost like they already made the sale and they're just
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's mine for a certain period of time, and
And I
somebody
think that's
comes,
something
great.
else that we do differently is there's a mindset, if you get a listing, you put it on the MLS and you hope another agent's going to bring you a buyer. I'm greedy. I want both sides of that transaction. So I market. Just Facebook alone, I use 168 different Facebook pages in 5 different states. Because I know
Wait, say that again.
in Facebook alone, I advertise on 168 different Facebook pages in 5 different states.
Gotcha. I thought you meant you had
I thought you said you had
168
168. Man,
No.
Like-
the thing of it is, if you're buying a vacation home,
Right.
the buyer's not here.
Right.
And just to put it on the MLS and hope somebody brings a buyer, that's very naive.
Now you're not saying you don't put it on the MLS.
Oh, of course,
like-
yeah. Yeah, but you need to market it as well. So that's something I do. I mean, I had an agent just got a new listing. I spent time this morning sending out, blasts of that. I'll do that for them.
so that's part of the 450 is you help them.
I do that. I do their 360 photographs of the homes. I do their drone photos. I pay their insurance.
All the while you're also selling homes yourself.
Yeah. Obviously, I would. Yeah, I mean, we're right at 19 agents. I think we are right now. So I would need to at this point.
Still have to eat.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Is there at some point you just want to send the agents like, hey, just kidding on the 450? We're going back to the old.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sometimes I think about it because. We see some pretty big sales come through. Like I said, there was a guy that sold 4 oceanfront listings all over $1 million. All of his commissions were $35,000 or more. I charge $450 each. that would have been some huge money.
Have you thought of doing a tiered schedule? That's what I immediately look at. I understand what you're doing because it takes away the conflict of interest essentially.
Right.
Like, hey, I'm going to pay Billy more attention because you're got $1 million listing versus Matt, or he's got 150,000. So it kind of levels the playing field there.
Right.
Which I can understand that, but I could see where
Having
it's
a
almost
tier
too good
system
of a,
would
it's
be,
almost
yeah.
too good of a deal for the agents.
It is, and we're just gonna use the Sam Walton approach. We're gonna make it up in volume. We're gonna get to
Doing the
that big
turns.
number of agents. And the turns have been pretty good, but of course the market's been great. We've not had to experience the bad side of the market as an independent company yet. We hardly take anything to operate. We've got that set up purposely.
So how do you go about finding agents? Do you farm them, or do you hit them right out of school, or? I know I've got a pretty big interest in real estate. My uncle is in real estate. My ex and her whole, they're in real estate. So I've been around it pretty much my entire life. I have my real estate license.
I was wondering when he's going to talk about his ex-wife.
know he had
he just wants to talk about his ex-wife.
Go ahead.
I'm just,
got enough
what I'm
time.
saying is like how do you just go after them right out of school so you can kind of like groom them yourself, or do you just find that?
At this point, we state when you come out of school and you get your license, you have what's called a provisional broker's license, and then you have to take further education to become a full broker. That requires a lot of immediate supervision, so obviously we can't give that.
And you're probably fronting a lot of money in hopes that they're going to be productive
Right.
a year
Yeah.
or two down the road.
Yeah. I do a lot of constant contact emails to the agents. I try to point out the good. And again, I never try to say anything bad about the other firms because, all of us agents, unlike any other area, by the way, I've seen other areas in real estate, the agents in this county all work closely together.
Right.
And we all do things together. We all do community events together. And that's really, really nice to see that. It's not as cutthroat and competitive as it is. We work under different flags, but we all have the same goal and couldn't do it without one another.
Is that
I don't want to alienate any of those agents like hey,
alienate away, man.
Like you're an idiot because you're paying 50%
That's
of
exactly
your
what
money.
I would do. I would see $3 million house sold, and I would know and I can do the math real quick and say, hey, man, if you're working for me, you'd have 20 grand more in your pocket.
Yeah.
Because that's what
I just feel like
if I'm thinking from an agent's perspective.
You wanna
that's-
do that.
That's the no-brainer I would look at.
And here's what kills me is that you're doing all the work as an agent anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, Keller Williams has got a pretty good system where they help out, but for
Very
the most
good for
part,
new agents especially, they got a lot of training programs. I encourage anybody to go to school, go to Keller Williams, get all that training, then come see me.
yeah. But other than
when you
that,
get productive, come see me.
like all these small, like Realty and all those places like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're pretty much just doing the legwork, everything on your own.
Yep.
And then to turn around and give most of it back to
Logically,
the house.
That's out there. I mean, that is.
Why don't you beat him over the head with it, Billy?
Yeah.
Don, what's going on?
Hey, continue to shame them. I'll stand by.
But have you had people kind of say like, "Hey, man, you're crazy"? Like,
Yeah.
you're like, "Hey, I get what you're trying to do, but at some point you got to eat too." Because you shared before the show, if you could wave a magic wand, you would be doing so much volume where you wouldn't be doing personal listings yourself. You would be
Right.
pouring into your agents.
Right. Absolutely. That's the goal. That's the goal, is to get there.
And you can do that one of two ways: double your price or double the production.
Right.
Double the volume.
Now, is the $450 per transaction, or is it per month?
Per transaction. Yeah.
No, not per month, dude.
I
Well, I don't know. It
month?
depends
I mean, you think about
that'd be- I wonder if it'll go to that.
There's a lot of different programs right now, but
We're all trying to figure out the perfect compensation
Yeah.
to keep people productive and.
you know what I see out of new companies now, or companies that are trying to say that they're 100% commission. They'll give the 100% commission, but then they just rename everything fees.
Yeah.
So they got a fee for this, they got a technology fee, they got an IT fee, they've got just crazy fees.
It's like when you go buy the car and then they're like, "Oh, you wanted the locks on?" Yep, that's another.
So
one.
you still,
Oh, you wanted air conditioning?
That's right.
Well, here you
Right.
go.
you
Yeah.
still end up at the same percentage, but you're just renaming it all.
Yeah, it just
So-
wasn't. You said you had 19. We'll say 20. That'd be a guaranteed $9,000 a month
Yeah.
just by
Yeah.
that.
Yep. And, there's agents that produce more per month and some that produce less.
So I would think the law of average would average that out.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, I mean, there's no perfect way.
Yeah.
And we've never had an agent come to us and then eventually go to somewhere else. Unfortunately, in the last year, we've actually lost 2 agents. 2 agents have passed away, and very sad. But we've never had an agent leave us because, I mean, how do you do that? How do you go back to paying that much money again?
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm just saying, okay, your license is here, go do your thing. Just make sure I get, my check, and, I'm working with them every day,
Right.
whatever they need. So the support's there too. I make sure they're not giving that up. I think the biggest thing is if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is.
Right.
That's a big barrier, and people are afraid of change.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, hey, this Mercedes 10 grand, this Mercedes 1 grand. And you're like,
You would not
we assign
believe-
value based
Yeah.
on price. You saw the model, which was essentially, I'm doing a lot of work. These guys are getting paid. Like, I'm not seeing the value anymore, which I think is a natural progression people go through in business. They start out with a captive firm. That firm took care of them while they were getting licensed and, made it so they didn't starve right out of the gates. But at some point, you're like, hey, this is too crazy. What's the number one reason do you think people go from one firm to the next? Is it strictly compensation or?
Yeah, I think especially now we'll do a lot more recruiting this time of the year because people are going to be looking back, and I'm going to be encouraging people to do the math of what they've earned versus what they could have earned.
When they're in the thick of it, they don't have time to stop. They're showing homes.
Summer is really tough because they're like, oh, I would come with you, but I've got this other one here and this other. And I used to be really kind of mean about that. I guess I was not a person that would hold the door open. It's like if you can't see the logic in this, you might not be the best person for us. I've softened up on that a little bit because that was just my own hang-up, I guess. But
it made so much sense to you. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That is frustrating. Yeah.
it is frustrating, and they want to do one more deal, or I got to finish. Well, you're still going to get paid your commission if that deal's under contract where you're leaving, so that's not an issue. People are just scared. I mean, it's a scary thing to take what you know. A lot of people got into real estate, and maybe before that worked in a grocery store. So now they're making this money like they've never seen before in their lives, and don't want to rock that boat. Don't want to take that chance. They got me here, so I'm going to stay here, even though you could double what you're making.
Yeah, and you got to be careful not to make someone feel stupid because
Right.
it's like we're so ego invested in how we do stuff, and if I see this, I'm like, my God, I would have made triple over the last 10 years. Like me I'm admitting that now if I make the shift. So it's a weird little hurdle our subconscious mind just struggles with because it's like, no, this is how it's done.
It is, and
We fear change,
Yeah. And, I don't know if this helps with recruiting or whatever, but we have one of our friends comes on here a couple of times. His name is Josh Bell, and he's probably one of the top selling car salesmen in the area.
Oh,
I mean,
easily,
by far.
easily, yeah.
And we asked him on one of the episodes, what if everything fell apart, what would be the one thing you took? And it was his book. His book
list,
of business.
yeah.
His list of business.
Customer base, yeah.
And then, maybe that could be like, hey guys, you've already built a clientele.
right.
Just because when
Well, the fear is I change ship. How many of them it comes down to like, oh no, you're really going to test to see if they're there for you or for the name on the building.
right.
Here's the thing. It is an ownership thing because say you've got 10 listings, but you want to come join me. That broker owns those listings. I own all the listings in my company. None of my agents do. So I could absolutely say, no, you can't have those listings.
Right, which is smart.
Yeah.
I mean, I never would. I would never do that because obviously they wanted to deal with the person anyway. It has nothing to do with the firm. The client could care less who the firm is. They click with the person.
Yeah. So have you given it thought? So I love the thought process. You mentioned we're doing $450 a transaction, which I believe you said that was just kind of a starting point based on a company who you kind of copy pasted their model a little bit.
Yeah.
And-
I had Fathom here for a little bit in the area, and I was the district director. And you talk about tough. Tried dividing up 450 between the corporation and yourself. That's where it gets real tough.
So you're looking
That's
at,
where it gets lean. Yeah.
You know, I got to do it on my own. I'm immediately getting a pay raise because I don't have to pay those franchise fees anymore.
Yeah.
But it's been 4 years and it's been profitable since day one. It's at a balancing act between doing a lot of volume and also just being lean as hell, like keeping our expenses low.
One thing I'm very guilty of, though, is I do spend a lot of money on the company. I mean, just like I said, the microphones. For the hot dog thing, I just bought a commercial hot dog roller.
God, I can write this off. It's cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't
I
feel
mean,
like spending. I'm
the
investing.
the cameras for the 360 photos. I mean, those aren't cheap, you know, to do those. But I believe it's all an investment. It's all going to come back. You know, I do believe completely this could be as many as 100 agents and very manageable with 100 agents because
If you had 100 agents, you wouldn't have to be doing it.
I wouldn't be
yourself.
selling, that's for sure,
Yeah,
because it'd
yeah.
be
Would
too
you
much to
would you
do.
consider what Don is doing is selling the shovels?
Yeah, I guess kind of. So we talk about during a gold rush, don't dig for gold, sell shovels.
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
use Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? He was into real estate investing, took a quantum leap when he started teaching people how to do it, right? There's a lot of Dons out there trying to do the same, maybe different setups, but you'd be hard pressed to find a real estate office that's like, no, we don't care about being a team. We don't care about, you know what I mean? They're going to tick those boxes. So selling shovels would be like, you've created a system. Now you're essentially doing what was that other company called?
Fathom.
Fathom.
Yeah.
Fathom's kind of doing that, where it's like the franchise model of selling the system. But I think it's tough because the selling agent side of you is probably like, this is a great deal. You know?
Yeah.
The firm side of you is like, I hope we get a couple more because this.
We'll get to that number, I have no doubt. I mean, I can't see, you know, we're here 5 years, we're here 6 years, that we didn't add more people because they're just seeing it works.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've got some really big names in our company that are known by everybody. Those are probably some of our biggest recruiting assets. I encourage anyone to just talk to any of the agents. Don't talk to me because I'm going to sell it to you as much as I can.
Right.
They're going to tell you what they encounter every day, what difference it's made for them. For some, it's been more money in their pocket. For others, it's been more money to invest back in their business. It's different things to different people. It's the freedom. Some people didn't want to go into the office all the time and attend meetings and all that kind of stuff.
They saw COVID. They're like, yes, I've been social distancing for years.
I'm good at this. I want to shift gears just a tad bit.
Okay.
If you were to, with 23 years in the business and experiencing, what bit of advice would you give a young Don Johnson?
Go for it. Go for it all the way. I mean, I live this job. I mean, whether it's an agent or the broker, the owner, I live this job. If I'm in a grocery store, I'm in line, you better believe I'm passing out cards to people. I'll start some kind of conversation, or they'll just ask me how the market is based on, you know, what's on my shirt. Or it's an entrepreneurial business, so you do have to do that. Don't wait around for anybody to hand you anything. Go get it.
So don't be afraid.
It's out there. Yeah.
Was there a time where you were timid? I mean, I think we all are until we find our thing. You know, there are some people they knew in sixth grade they were going to do this, and they've been on that path.
Yeah. You know, I used to have a local TV show, too, for 3 years. Every time before we got to a segment, even though I know what was going to happen, I was nervous before the camera went on. Knocking on the door to talk to somebody, I was nervous. But when the door opens, it all goes away. You know, it just disappeared for me. I was one of those persons that built up the anxiety beforehand, and then it just goes away. Being in the presence of two great people like yourself today I probably had a bottle of
Man
Thomas
does not lie, folks. The man does not
on the way
lie.
over here, you know.
Our beards are
You've seen-
perfect makeup.
Have you ever seen a combo like this before?
He just puts that hair on in the morning. It's like
It's Lego hair.
Yeah, mine comes down past my eye now.
That's
But
right.
I just got a cut, so
You don't grow in your comfort zone.
yeah.
You know, but once you get good at something, you're very comfortable doing it, right? You wouldn't keep doing it if you were just terrified. Like that's
Well, also on top of that, I think once you put all the time and the effort in, you become proud of it. You know, like when we first started the podcast here or the show here, you know, at first we're like, we're just in a room, we're doing it. But then now it grew legs, and we're expanding, we're getting bigger.
Oh,
and
just think
now
what's
it's
gonna
like,
happen after this.
it's just going to explode. But what I enjoy about it is I look for people to say, hey, look, I got a show. Me and my friend Matt, we have a great show give me your phone. You should go ahead and subscribe. But to me, it's just because I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what we have built. And I can see that in your
very
agency.
Proud. Yeah, very, very, very proud. Very proud of what we built. Very proud of every agent. There is such a thing as getting lazy, though, because I notice agents sometimes when they have deals that are going, they'll stop farming. And it's the farming that got you there. You're going to need that. You don't wait till those disappear and then start farming again.
Yeah.
You got to keep those daily.
Now,
habits.
is it lazy, or is it they're just complacent because they're working on?
I'd like to call it lazy.
Semantics.
Tit tat.
Is he big or large? Which one is it?
Because Kevin talks about that all the time with us. Is he doesn't seek a ton of business. He wants the business that he can manage.
Right.
He could go out and get 1,000, leads a day, but now you're taking away from the clients that he needs to call upon. So it's kind of like a balance.
I think a lot of it's how you're wired too. There's businesses that are set up like one night stands. It's boom, boom, you get your commission and you don't have to hold their hand anymore. Then there's those that are like long-term relationships
Whereas Kevin, he's going to have those renewals every year.
Right.
Yeah.
If
So
we had people renewing houses every year, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. Yeah,
that would be really
which you
nice.
can kind of do a little bit. I was going to ask you, do you guys get into the rental properties at all?
We have a rental division right now that was almost a year, I guess we added it. Deborah Ball. She brings it. It's her business. So
Gotcha.
she's there as an agent, and she's there to run her rental business.
And how did what was that model like? I'm guessing there's a monthly rent. If it's $1,000 a month, I'm assuming if you go through a real estate company, they're charging 10%?
Yep.
Or
Yep. And then I just have an agreement with her to do her business there. Yeah.
it was black and white with the buying and selling homes. Have you looked at that? Like, how can I
Monetize
make a
that,
new way to do this? Because it's kind of doing the old way or established way there, but the new way on the buying and selling.
Deborah's one of those kind of people. I advertise for her every once in a while, but she has just got so much business. And buying and selling business. I mean, I will not be surprised if she's not the top agent for this year. In addition to her daily duties, she's the only person that actually works at our office. Because the rest of us, wherever we can do our work, fine. But she's the only one that actually keeps office hours there. Then she still outsells. I mean, she's just doing dynamic.
Well, she has a terrible home life, so.
She does?
No, I don't know.
She doesn't want to be at home.
Yeah. She's yelling at us right now watching this.
She's addicted to workahol.
Workahol.
She's
Norm
amazing.
Macdonald joke.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about taking on that property rental business, but I'm really glad we did it, mostly because of Deborah.
Yeah.
She's Miss Brandywine, she's lived there, she's sold it since it was just dirt, and
That used to be the neighborhood, Moorhead. I remember Brandywine.
Halloween, best candy.
Now it's just a bunch of damn Yankees yelling at you about a boat in your yard.
And starting companies that, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Don's still here.
Oh, damn.
Daggone it.
I don't live in Brandywine.
So Billy asked the question, what would letter you would write to your younger self, right? If you had advice. Basically saying, hey, do these things, you'll get to where you want to be faster. My mom used to say, like, the heater's hot on the wall. Don't touch it. And I had to touch it to find out it was hot. She told me. But what I like to do is it's a forward-thinking kind of exercise where I'll envision my ideal self 5 years from now or 1 year from now, the person I want to be, and I want to embody that today. And I'll actually think if I had a conversation with Matt who had achieved everything that I wanted to achieve, what would he say to me? It's provided a lot of clarity in my life.
And both. I mean, he's got me on it, and it's.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do it all the time anyways.
Yeah.
We're only going to rise to the level of our self-image. And if Don from 5 years from now Don's revolutionized the real estate game. He's working only with agents. What do you think he would?
I would just say stay the course. I mean, everything that we're doing seems to be working. I mean, it surprised me. I didn't expect this much growth in the time period that we've had. I really didn't expect this kind
Maybe
of growth.
give some people some perspective, because you said 20 agents in 4 years, you said?
Yeah.
So I have no idea if that's good, bad. Like, what would be
not in your realm.
if you tried to start your own deal where you just had the same 50-50 split on commissions or whatever?
Yeah, it depends on who you are. I mean, if you're Keller Williams, you have 100 agents. There's some smaller companies that are very well known that have less agents than us. So it just depends on who you are and what you're comfortable with handling. I think with what we're setting up, we're going to be able to handle more people.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a matter of time. If some of the companies out there knew some of the agents that were calling me, their jaws would drop, because there's some big agents out there calling me that are maybe just a little apprehensive right now about making the switch. But who knows? Like I said, the end of the year is coming up. Reflect back on what you made and what you could have made.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big impact right there. That's one thing I'll do, is put out a lot of emails to the agents in the whole association.
Yeah.
Encouraging them to look at what they've made.
Let's pretend Billy and I own a real estate firm. You are preaching the gospel of this new way. How would you sell us on it?
I probably would think that I couldn't, because you've done it the other way so long. I mean,
but pretend we're open. We're all about innovation too.
in my opinion, and a lot of opinions, this is the future anyway. Real estate's not going to be able to maintain the way it is. The firms are not going to be able to maintain the way they are. There's so many of these companies coming out now. They may not be getting to a true 100%, but they're getting darn close. These are going to affect the big players. These are going to affect the big real estate companies. So I would encourage you to look strongly at it, because it is the future. Blockbuster left at Netflix and said not a chance. But, we saw who won. It was definitely the new way.
That was the biggest. They had that opportunity to buy Netflix.
Yeah.
In a perfectly competitive marketplace, margins go down to zero. Any change is going to come because buyers and sellers are demanding it. Do you think there's a risk that real estate agents can go the way of travel agents? You can almost do everything online now. Do
You
think
can.
that's...
Zillow can sell you a house now. I mean, you never have to engage with an agent. There's these ones that show up, I think Redfin's a commercial I saw on TV that says they'll sell your home as little as 2%. But if you read the fine print, it said something about $4,000 minimum commission. So there's just a lot of renaming things, and that really bothers me.
But
a lot.
it's planting those seeds in
Sure.
young people's heads.
Yeah.
I can do everything else online.
Yep. You can
Why-
absolutely buy a house online.
Like the young people. I mean, they feel awkward talking to. What's the saying? We all love to buy, we hate to be sold. But we spend money like crazy, so we clearly don't have any problem with buying. I would wonder, and that's where I could see, some quantum growth in your model, because it is, if the agents go away, or at least there's always going to be a subset. There's still car lots. You can buy cars online.
Right.
Because I could turn that argument, well, why are there still car dealers? But I think if we're sitting here doing that, we might be 10, 15 years from retirement. I'm going to get it while the getting's good,
Yeah.
There's definitely going to be some more movement in that direction. I think there's a couple companies right now that you can literally use them, pay a 1%, 2%.
There's no free lunch.
Never need an agent. Of course, I've had deals like that. I've had places that I've represented people I've never met them. They're in another area. What I don't think is going to survive is charging agents 30 to 50% of their hard-earned money. I think as more and more companies pop out, and when I see another one, I don't get mad. I think that's a win for us, because things are turning that way. So I'm not like, oh, here's somebody to compete with. Here's somebody who's doing what I'm doing. Usually when I look into it a little bit closer, they're not doing what we're doing. They're just adding more fees.
Iron sharpens iron, so competition is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a race to zero.
Yeah.
That is the, and I'm a big fan of Dan Kennedy, wrote a bunch of the No BS marketing books, and he talks about your pricing. He says there is zero advantage for being the second lowest price. If you can't be the lowest price, be the most expensive. And you mentioned Sam Walton earlier, had me thinking of kind of the Walmart model. They certainly make it up in volume, and they're doing very well, but you can even see them, they're cutting the fat. Now, I can't remember the last time I had somebody scan for the stuff I buy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the times are changing, and that they change with it. And that's...
Evolve or dissolve, yeah.
Yeah, and that's how they're going to survive.
Yeah. Billy, what do you think? Well, you know a lot more about real estate than I do.
I see what you're doing. I see the value. I see the mindset of helping others. Man, I don't know. There's a part of me. I'm the entrepreneur
There's
that.
two sides, right?
Yeah,
if
like
you're
I
thinking
would-
of being an agent, I'm like, dude, this is a no-brainer.
Right.
But
Yeah.
if I'm thinking of being,
If I'm thinking of
also
being-
the business owner.
Yeah, if I'm thinking of being rich, it's not likely to happen this way.
Yeah, there's a part, and
Not
that's
even-
what I'm saying. There's a part. It's
Not,
like,
maybe
man, I
not
would.
even being rich, just replacing my income that I made
Right,
as an agent,
right.
so I can do what I love to
I
do.
will be there, yeah.
Which is pouring into
Yeah.
people.
Talking about Sam Walton and Walmart and stuff. Walmart gets their money off turns, but
What do you mean by that?
So they go off how many they can sell off a shelf. So they have a shelf model of say 13. So they can track how much they sell, and they buy at a lower rate, but they sell more, so they get more money off the turns. But in hindsight, when inflation hits, they still will raise the prices. It won't be Harris Teeter Lowe's or
Right.
their
They're
prices.
not going to raise prices until they're forced to.
Exactly.
Like, as
I
long
mean-
as we're the lowest price, we're good.
And the
Yeah.
way they come into a town, I mean, they just undersell everybody and just kind of, it's vicious. It's really vicious, but it's smart. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's, hey, like,
I tell people all the time, I said it when I was doing the roundtable, people would come in and say, we're going to compete with Walmart. You're not going to compete with Walmart. Here's the thing, you either work with Walmart or you work around Walmart. You're not going to compete with them.
well, you can compete in like we had Dave Free on with his with the Anson belts, and we asked. I'm sure a lot of people have asked you, have you thought of putting your belts in big box stores? And he's like, I really don't see any advantage to it. Like they're not going to probably move as much.
Right,
product
and
as we
that's what I'm
are.
talking about, working around Walmart.
Yeah.
Because instead, if you're going to say, I'm going in and I'm going to sell more Anson belts than Walmart can sell any belts, you're just
Well, because
like, well, wait a minute now.
Walmart's they're looking at like Amazon. Like,
Yeah, they're not. They don't care about you.
They've got a rep. They're looking at like that's where it's moving. You know, like if they could shake you, like no, don't do this. Like you're way too late to the game. Like get out in front of us. You know.
Yeah.
That would be like me foolishly thinking I'm going to wipe out
That's it.
Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams, all them. I know I'm not.